get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Alright, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Alright, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Alright, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Alright, then I'm gone. Movie screens, then life's the biggest production, and it's a bitch with a big appetite for seduction. All of a sudden, niggas busting for a big introduction.
Hey, Daniel, welcome to Blunt Talk, baby. How we doing? This is episode 22, baby. Kind of crazy. I turned 22 the other day, so I mean, it only makes sense. Now, with this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about NFL and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And who better to do it with a Steelers fan than my boy Marquis? How we doing, Marquis?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm chilling, man. I mean, after my birthday, I just got this mic. I've been messing around with it, seeing how it works and what it does, whatever. How about you, bro?
I'm good, Just glad that sports are back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've been enjoying lately.
Mm-hmm. The first question I ask everyone on the podcast is pretty much, how have you been dealing with coronavirus and the pandemic and the quarantine situation?
I've been good. Just mostly, trying to be safe, so mostly staying in the house. But it's been good. Finding other hobbies to deal with. Just finding more about yourself. That's been the most positive thing to do. Yeah.
No, I honestly feel that. No, I can't agree with that. Because at the start of this quarantine period, it was abysmal, man. I was like trying to find like YouTube videos or like something to watch. I started binge watching a lot of shows, and it was like I was running out of content at the start of it, not gonna lie. So, but after that, it slowly got better with the fact that like the courts opened up, so I started being able to play hoops again. That was like my getaway from being stuck in the house all the time. So It's looking good now. It's looking good now. But I agree with you. The hobbies, like, that's definitely something you gotta do in a situation like this. You gotta find something else and learn more about yourself as well.
For sure.
Now, on to our first topic of the episode. We're going to start off talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. So before we even get into the topic, I want to know, why are you a Pittsburgh Steelers fan? What was the reason for you, or like the one like game or the one player, like the one what was it? Tell me the story.
So this started out when I was young. I would say probably about 4 or 5. I have family in Western Pennsylvania and a lot of family in Ohio. So when I was young, we would have go out to Ohio or family reunions in Ohio. And I would always remember because Ohio, Pittsburgh and Ohio border are right near each other. So I'd always remember going through the city, stopping through, seeing the stadium. And then I specifically remember this one time. It was at night. The stadium was lit up. The downtown city. I believe there was a preseason game going on, and we had stayed the night in the city. And I just remember the energy and the rush from the fans just for a preseason game. So from then, I just once that season started, I just had started watching them, and I became a fan and loved. So I loved whenever I had to go to Ohio, stopping through the city, getting to see the stadium, just being able to drive through, look at the park. It just sold me on it altogether.
Oh, definitely. I say for myself, whenever I get to go to a sporting event, doesn't matter the sport, it's a completely different experience to actually being here at your house just watching the games. You get the atmosphere, the vibe, the whole vibe in the arena is different to if you go to a good fan base like the Steelers are, I will say that the Steelers are some good fans that are very dedicated. Yeah. That atmosphere is going to be a very enjoyable experience.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what I fell in love with the most.
Mm-hmm. So wait, what year do you remember the year that preseason game was that you went to?
I want to say it was probably 03 summer, that summer, 03.
Damn, so you was a youngling, the Steelers fan.
Yeah, I was very young. Yeah.
Okay, that's good too. And you stay loyal. I like that. I like to hear people that stay loyal to the teams. For me, I'm a Giants fan, so I mean, I'm not in the same boat as you. I'm at a different type of level. We struggling. We got Saquon. It's okay for now. We got Jones as the quarterback.
Starting to look up.
Yeah, more moves, definitely a lot more years in the making, and we'll see how it goes. Your Steelers are on a different. What would you call yourselves right now? Because you guys are. Ben Roethlisberger just had like a weird season. If I'm not mistaken, he got injured, right? He got
Yes,
injured this majority of the season.
yes. I would say I would call us ourselves contenders. Um, it was unexpected when he got injured and we went
Mm-hmm.
down, but then the trade that let us acquire Minka Fitzpatrick, the Dolphins kind of let us get an easy trade off of that because, they assumed that, oh, we lost Big Ben. So they just thought, oh, these guys are going to tank the season. We'll get another high draft pick with their first round pick. So that's what they assumed. But
Mm-hmm.
once we got Minka, that was like the piece to the
Missing
defense
piece.
that allowed us the defense just to blow up, made us like a top five, and it helped so much that the offense, we didn't have to, with a backup quarterback, we were so, no AB, no Bell,
Mm-hmm.
Connor injured, so it allowed the less pressure on the offense. The defense took over 8-8,
Yeah.
so Big Ben, Big Ben is back, looking healthy.
Mm-hmm.
We did good with the draft, some receivers,
Mm-hmm.
offensive line staying the
Mm-hmm.
same. We have one of the best O lines, so I'm confident in this season. And the AFC is deep because you have Mahomes, Jackson in the division. Now you
Yeah.
have Joe Burrow, Mayfield. So, but I see us as contenders for sure.
Okay. Would you say your guys are buyers or sellers? Like, are you trying to get one more piece, or do you think you have some pieces that you can get like a better trade off in that sense?
That's a good question. I'm gonna call us buyers because I believe in this team. Um,
Okay.
if you look at it, I was looking through an interesting stat this week. He says in Big Ben's career, the 5 times he's had a top 5 defense, he's went deep into the playoffs. So that made it interesting for me. So this for sure is going to be a top 5 defense. I think they take a lot of pressure off
Mm-hmm.
rather than the years we had Bell, Le'Veon, and we didn't have any defense at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this will make a change. It makes it easier. So I'm going to call us biased.
Okay. I can agree with that because, like, my knowledge of football isn't the best, but when you think about it in a sport like football, you need to have that good defense because if you can't defend, then you can't get back onto the offensive end of the game. So
Yeah,
if Ben Roethlisberger really has, as you're mentioning, was going to have a good defensive like team this season, I could see the Pittsburgh Steelers doing really good this season, to be
yeah.
honest. What do you think about the whole Antonio Brown saga? Because that was ignorant. That's the word I would describe it.
It was. At first, when there's been reports that he's kind of like a player with a huge ego. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how much to feed into it over the years, but then I could just tell, once she just acted like how that season ended when he didn't play the last game.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I remember that. I
yeah, he
remember
didn't play the
that.
last game, and but the biggest thing for that for me was that he didn't show up. Like, he was there at the game, but he left. Like he didn't show up to support
Mm-hmm.
the younger guys, the teammate. Even
Mm-hmm.
that. So then I thought that was a lot. And then with the whole saga into that off season, people were like, "Oh no, it's the Steelers' fault. They didn't take care." And I was just like, I don't know, because like when you deal with guys like that on a team, that can
Yeah.
be so damaging. So when we
No,
traded him,
exactly. When you deal with a person with that much of an ego, you can't really blame the organization because at one point you can like it's 50-50. Sure, the organization didn't try, quote unquote, but the organization is doing their best to keep the player for the amount of time that they kept it. So
definitely,
it was like with players like that, it comes to a point that eventually you as an organization are going to have to tell yourself, man, we haven't won recently, like with him, and he's giving us the most amount of issues probably in like he's ever given us right now. We need to get rid of him.
yeah, yeah. And that was the issue. And then when we traded him to the Raiders, people were like, "Oh, the Raiders won that trade, da da da, and all of that." And I was like, "Yeah, but at this rate, he's damaged his worth so much that it's almost like you want to get something
Mm-hmm.
back in return." So when we did, and then I knew he wasn't gonna like go along with the Raiders. I knew that wasn't gonna be good because once they trade him, they give him this brand new contract, and his ego, that's just blowing up the ego more, you know.
Mhm.
And people think, oh, John Gruden's a good head coach, which he is, and he can deal with him. But I'm like, no, that's just the ego that no
Yeah.
coach can really deal with. And then that whole thing with the Raiders last season, just, you know, blowing them off, getting
Mhm.
kicked off before the regular season, signing with the Patriots, and then the
Mhm.
allegations. You know, it's just a long list of things. So I
Exactly. It
think,
was so long. It was so long at a point I was like, man, it feels like he kind of did it to himself.
yeah, I think the ego just came back to bite him in his butt, and I think that's what it was.
Mhm. I kind of feel bad for him because when he first got traded to the Raiders, I was like, okay, the Raiders. If I'm not mistaken, the Raiders have moved that same season to Las Vegas, right?
No, they were still in Oakland.
But
They
at least
no,
it was
so yeah,
announced. It
yeah,
was
they made
announced
the
or
announcement last
something.
season. You're right. They made the
It was
announcement.
announced or something, or like it was
Yeah,
in the works. So as soon as I heard both news being the correlation, I was like, this could be big for them. They get a wide receiver that's very talented, blah 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 blah. But it didn't work out. And like as you mentioned, I am a very firm believer that if you need to get rid of a talent because you don't think you can sign him or something like that, or it's not working out, you always need to try to get something in return. Like you said, it's better to get
true.
something in return than nothing. You don't want to lose him free agency and things like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's move on a little bit now into like the NFL as a whole. So, what's your opinion on this upcoming NFL season? Like, do you think they're gonna play? First off,
I
like,
think I think they'll play. I think, you know, at first I was like, you know, I was iffy on it. I wasn't too confident.
mhm,
Um, because, you know, we saw it just had to do with players who maybe aren't responsible. So like I know I'm sure you saw with the Seahawks with the rookie who tried to sneak his girl into the team hotel. Well, yeah,
so I
yeah,
didn't see. So the
yeah,
player,
he tried to sneak his girl into the hotel because
okay,
to see some team decided they were still gonna do a bubble, but just in a hotel.
mhm,
So he tried to sneak her in and Seahawks clothes and like through past security. It was all caught on film and he got cut. So like he wasn't even drafted. He was an undrafted rookie. So there goes like his chances.
boy,
He just threw away
no,
like his chances like that.
that's
It's
your
over.
dream, bro. You can't do something
That's
like
what I'm
that.
saying. So, you know, the young guys, I was like, something like that. If guys keep doing that,
Hmm.
it'll be hard to play a season. But so far, I've seen they've been disciplined. You know, the guys have. If you really love something and you love a sport, you know, you're going to do whatever you have to do to play it, not
Yeah.
ruin other people's chances. So, so far it's been looking good, and you know, I'm positive the season will happen.
But my follow-up question to that will be, how do you think it's gonna happen then? Like, because I was talking about it with my cousin, and I believe 2 or 3 episodes ago on the podcast, and our main concern was the fact that football is a sport where you have so many bodies and people and personnel that are represented in the team. If I'm not mistaken, NFL is the league with the teams that have the most players per
Yeah,
roster, right?
yeah. Mhm.
How the heck are you gonna fit all of that in a bubble? Because you
I thought it
can't
was.
do you can't, my bad for interrupting you real quick, but you can't do what the MLB is doing. That's too risky in the United States right now.
It is. You're right. And the thing was, what I thought, when I was first talking to people, I thought they should have had host cities. You do host cities as bubbles. So I would have had maybe two on the West Coast, two Midwest, and then like two on the East Coast. So this way, you kind of like you split up the teams closest to these areas that can do
Mhm.
bus travel, that can basically travel on bus, or don't have to, you know, fly super far. Split them up into these bubbles, split them up into the hotels and their personnel, let them take over, and then let them compete. Um, let them compete with these teams, and then you carefully have them bus maybe to another city, another that. But I thought they should have just had host cities. Since you're not going to have fans, you know the revenue is going to drop regardless. So at that rate, just swallow your pride and just do host cities with these bubbles, allow them to compete in there. That's what I thought they should have done.
My thing with that would be, I mean, it's not even my thing. I feel like some NFL fans, like the more diehard ones, will say, doesn't that mess up the schedule or like the teams that the teams face in a sense? Because if we have different bubbles, because like that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's what the NHL is doing. They had multiple bubbles, but they had them in Canada. But
Yeah.
if you're doing different bubbles, then you're only going to be playing against the teams inside the same bubble.
Well, here's what I was thinking. So I was thinking, okay, you have them. So you have these teams, because I know it's a lot of travel and a lot of setup.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. I was thinking maybe you could even possibly do some type of a redivision. So like maybe so maybe Pittsburgh, Philly, like a Baltimore, and I don't know, like a Giants. Maybe that
In the sense that like we get done with AFC, NFC for this one season, and then just do it like
Well,
geographic
no, so
wise.
it wouldn't be that. So basically, we play. So the two bubbles. So let's say there's two bubbles on the East of the East Coast teams, right? So let's say there's 32 teams. So let's say there's like 8 teams. Let's say there's 8 to 10 teams. So what I say, these 8 to 10 teams play each other, and then you take like a week-long break. I would say you take a whole like league bye week, and you allow teams to swap. So swap the other opponent. So let's say Steelers have to go to the West Coast. Allow the Steelers and the other teams to travel to the West Coast, or if the Eagles have to travel to the Midwest, let them play these teams. You kind of do like a scramble it up.
I get it. So like you can actually get like the actual like differentiation in the opponents that you're facing.
Yes.
But with the bye week, you also give them time for the quarantine period, and then you also give them that bye week that you have with football, or at least the timing and everything.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking about them. I know it's so hard with a bubble.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing. I'm interested to see what the NFL actually does, because it's like the way that the league works is a season that it's like by weeks, so it's like 16, 17 weeks if I'm not wrong. And then my main concern is, would it become a shortened season? Do you think it could become a shortened season?
I truthfully thought they should have done a shorter season. I just thought you swallow your pride. You do. So 17 weeks with 16 games within the bye. So I felt like if you do 12 games, 12, 13 games, maybe that. And then if you have it, do a tiebreaker if needed, kind of like the NBA did. Allow if these teams need to face off for the final playoff spot, do that. And, let it go on like that.
Okay. Because honestly, the way I was thinking about it is probably just do like a 10, 12 the most, I feel like, but 10, 12 regular season, because you can't complain about the fact that, that's too little games. Like, it's not going to give a chance to people to separate themselves from the standings. The NFL, it's already a 16 like week, a 16 game season. So if anything, like as you mentioned, do the tiebreaker situation and just figure it out like that. Because at the end of the day, the less amount of time you have those people in there, the less risky it is, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not like the NBA, because I feel like the NBA, I mean, I'm not complaining about it, but the NBA has been very fortunate with the fact that no positive coronavirus test. They're actually following the protocol and everything. MLB, you've seen so many issues, and that's because they don't have no bubble situation or nothing. And you see some of these players weren't even playing masks and stuff like that. Hockey's been doing perfect too. They're all positive and everything. And they're in Canada, which is a country that's doing very positive right now with the whole situation.
Yeah.
And I just hope we get football this year, honestly.
I do too.
I'm intrigued to see how it works. I want it to work, first off. I don't want it to be a half-ass attempt and then the cookie crumbles or something. So I'm definitely intrigued to see how it works. Before we finish with the NFL topic, with predictions towards the season then. Like, first question is going to be, do you think the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes got what it takes to do a repeat?
I think they do. I believe they do.
Because I feel like one of the sports that is hardest to do a repeat is football.
It is, for sure.
The only teams that I can think of that really do that are the Patriots. I might be wrong, but I think the Patriots are the only ones that have repeated in the recent history.
Yes, they are. I think it's very hard, but I think they had the tools because, they still had their the depth from receiver core. I think the only part is going to be hard is the defense. They did get their they did get Chris Jones back. They were able to resign him for their the defensive line. You still have one of the best DBs and with Honey Badger in the back. So I think they can, but I certainly know there will be more. It'll be a harder path. But like you said, repeating in sports is like another level of difficult. So, but I think they might have what it takes to do it.
I think so too, to be honest, because I saw not this last playoffs, the playoffs before that, when the Chiefs faced the Patriots, when Tom Brady was at a higher level than he was last season, I guess you could call it. The Patriots, the Chiefs were just there every possession. Like every time the Patriots score, the Chiefs were coming back with another like touchdown or at least something. But it was just too much for Patrick Mahomes. And then I saw a big jump and a big difference this last playoffs with how they actually managed to get over the hump against every team.
Yeah, they did. It was a big hump. What was it? That Texans game was like very crazy when they started out almost like 21, 28, nothing down, and he like led them to a comeback. That was just like crazy. Once they did that, I was like, okay, they might have this in a bag. Like, I'm not saying like Texas are the most difficult team in the world, but like you overcome a deficit like that in a playoff game. I kind of feel like I felt like they had it in the bag. So eventually, when they went to the Super Bowl and they were down, and it was coming to crunch time, I wasn't worried because we know what they can do.
We've seen him in those circumstances before. So at that time, we saw him happen again. We were like, all right, it's not over until it's over with them. Like, you really can't. That's the problem. They're like Golden State of football right now, I feel like.
Yeah, they are.
Back when Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and KD, like, sure, you could be winning 10 points going into the fourth quarter. Don't take it easy, homie. You know them guys are going to be shooting the lights out. So it's like the same with Mahomes. Mahomes will easily find a person to pass it to, or he'll run with the ball until he drops, bro.
For sure. That's exactly what it is.
The last question for our NFL topic is, do you think there's any sleeper teams that we should be like paying attention to for this upcoming season? Because I personally think the Cleveland Browns might have a shot at being a better team this year.
On paper, yes. I can see that on paper, yes. But I'm not gonna put too much stock into them yet because it's a new head coach, new system. So, we got to see how Baker does. They're stocked up at receivers with Odell, Jarvis, and then tight end with Njoku, Austin Hooper. So they're there, and they're stacked. They have a good defense too. But, I want to see them play first because they don't play in an easy division with the AFC North. That Steelers defense, Ravens defense, and then, Bengals have Joe Burrow now. So it definitely won't be easy. But a sleeper team, I think the sleeper team may be the Cardinals.
Cardinals?
I'm gonna
they
say
still got what? I'm bad with the name.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Kyle Murray. What's the name?
Kyler Murray. Yeah.
Kyler Murray. Yeah. He had a good rookie season.
He did. And then he finished off on a little hot streak. And I feel like coming into the season, a little bit more experience where to make mistakes. They made some upgrades for him. They got a top 5 receiver in the league now with DeAndre Hopkins. They added that.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, goodness.
They added some stock into that. So, do they still
have my boy Larry Fitzgerald?
Yeah.
He retired?
He's still there. So, him being there, and then they have one of the best defensive players in Chandler Jones at the linebacker spot. So, I think, the NFC West is tough. But I believe, Cardinals might, shock some people.
Okay. You got any final thoughts or, like, anything else you want to add about either the NFL or your Pittsburgh Steelers?
No. I just, like we said before, I just hope they're able to play football. I hope, the players take responsibility, do what they have to do. And, I hope it's a great season.
Amen, brother. Amen. Now, we're going to go into our second topic. Basically, we're going to talk about the NBA bubble, and we're going to talk about how the playoffs have been, how the end of the season was. First off, what are your thoughts on the whole NBA and every other sport, basically, pretty much, and the whole James Blake situation? Because as soon as I started reading the reports and everything, I was all for it. Because these people taking a stand like the way that they did, like that's what you need to do to get the attention of people. So, what's your thoughts on that?
You're completely right. That's the angle I had. I saw a lot of people saying, I don't understand why these guys are just going to sit out 1 or 2 games, this and that. But let me break it down for you. So when you're in the NBA and, you know, there's so many people who depend on the NBA. So as we've learned, we've learned this within school and our, stuff. So not only do you have the partnership deals, so Disney, Disney, ABC, ESPN. Then you have not only the Turner deal for TNT, and then you have Nike, who's the official sponsor. You have all these other official sponsors.
The other brands and everything.
Yes, all these other brands depend on the NBA. Hey,
the companies, the commercials.
No matter if it's notice how on the court they pretend like it's the home floor and they put the stickers of the brands on the team. So even that little action shot in time, companies pay for that. So companies, when you hit billionaire owners and billionaire corporations and their pockets and you stop playing, it's going to cost for a change. Exactly. If you want to change, if you want a quick action of change, you got to hit people in their pockets and mess with their money, and then they'll start to listen to you. So I felt like, hey, that's good. They weren't expecting it. Players have talked about it. They had talked about it leading up to the days, but the Bucks were just like, nah, we're not going to go out. The Magic weren't expecting it. The rest of the NBA wasn't. So they sat out, and it caused a chain reaction. You see across sports. Players are like,
NBA, the MLS did it. Lastly, the MLB did it.
NBA is leading the way. Like, they're showing, and I think the players finally realized LeBron being the star in the face of the league, I think he finally realizes how much power he has.
Yeah.
It's like, when LeBron said, when it was questionable whether the NBA was going to come back from the virus, LeBron said, no, we're not going to cancel the season. We're hooping. They did that. So now that when he puts his foot down to tell to the owners, look, we came down here, but we wanted to make a change with social justice. We've been playing, but we need more done.
Exactly.
You can talk the talk, but are you going to walk the walk?
Exactly.
Are you going to put the money where your mouth
That's
is?
my main thing with this, because a lot of people will be talking, but you see it nowadays. Not a lot has been done about it. So I feel like the one thing that's different nowadays, but back in the days, these athletes have so much power and control in our society in the sense that not only social media, but they're superstars, like they're celebrities, and they got money. Not all of them are exactly rich. I get that. There's a discrepancy in what everyone makes, but at least like an upper echelon of these players can fill all these categories I've told you, like the fame, the celebrity status, all that. They fill that. So as soon as you hear one of them say, I'm not happy with a situation, it's gonna get around. And then the NBA is for the second most viewed sport in the whole. I don't know if it's the whole.
I believe I believe at least for the U.S. it is.
The U.S. is the second most viewed sport in the U.S. So as soon as you see this collective of people taking a stand for this, it easily helps, or I don't know if that's the word I want to use. It works in the sense that it's a trigger. It's like the switch. You turn it on, and people are gonna be like, oh wait, why are they not playing? Oh, because this happened. Okay, so people get more involved with it, educate themselves in it, learn more, try to ask more questions and whatnot. So
you're absolutely right, because that allows people to stop looking at athletes just to provide. I know we use sports as a getaway sometimes from like the real world and stuff, but like when these things keep happening off the court, and it's like we need everybody to listen to this. So we're gonna stop playing. We're humans too. People think money can get rid of racism. That's not true at all. Money can't. Just because LeBron has a lifetime deal with Nike, might be one of the highest paid players overall and in the world, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean he's not going to experience racism. We see it with players now, like fans getting upset, so they might go in their DMs and say something crazy, thinking, they won't see it, but they do see it. So just for that, so now it's saying, hey, we're not going to play. We're going to put a stop to this. The owners are going to have to listen to this, because without us, there is no league, there's no money.
Exactly, bro. Without these players, the owners ain't got no product.
Exactly. And we know most of these owners have political ties and they have power. So
Mhm.
we're using our power to speak up. Now it's
Mhm.
time for you to use your power. And I think
Mhm.
it's huge that even with the buyers going on and now that, this whole election thing, the USPS, I think it's huge that now the owners are turning the arenas and the polling centers. That's like
I
so
love
strategic.
that. I actually
Yeah,
do love that. It
that's
encourages people to vote because I'm telling you, if you're listening to this right now, just vote. Please just
go
vote.
vote.
And
Go
like
vote.
that's something they should have been doing years ago, not even years ago, centuries ago, because you have these huge facilities, stadiums that sometimes, well, I mean, not every sports facility is available necessarily during election time, but
Yeah,
there's some facilities that are available during election time.
for
So
sure.
you
And I
should be
think that
having these places open for elections, for like the votings and everything.
And I think that put the pressure on them. So I think they'll change that. And then even, Chris Paul was like at the end of his game, he said, I challenge everyone to get registered to vote. The NBA has an increasing volume of young guys who
Mhm.
aren't registered to vote. Even some of the older guys, even maybe some of the international guys who have recently gotten their citizenship
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
who have the rights to vote, they're not using that. So I think it's important because not there was a good majority of the NBA that wasn't registered to vote. So now when you get these guys to vote and you make a change, this is how you go about changing. And
Mhm.
I see people always try to attack LeBron about his leadership. LeBron is like the blueprint of what you want to do. LeBron
Exactly.
opened a school, underprivileged kids, gave their parents jobs. He set the
Mhm.
kids up with possibilities. If they want to go to Kent State, they can go to Kent State on a full ride,
Mhm.
no matter if it's athletics or not.
Yeah. No,
So
LeBron really has done a lot for the society and everything according to that. And doesn't he have an organization now? I forget the name of it, but he started with other NBA players and I think a celebrity. I forgot the name. That's something. It's an organization that encourages people to vote, and it's telling you all these other places and information about where you can vote, how you can vote, blah blah blah, this and that, this and that. I love it, man. I really do.
it's,
I
it's
encourage it.
it's based off because LeBron has his slogan and organization called More Than an Athlete. So he decided to do something called More Than a Vote, which
Okay.
which he did. He gathered with other celebrities, other athletes, and basically
Mhm.
just making sure that people know the word, highlight voter suppression, which is a thing. People get
Exactly.
afraid to vote, and making sure that people are registered and just know the details and the
Mhm.
effects of it.
I hate to change the topic, but did you hear about what happened with the soccer team in Utah, the Real Salt Lake owner?
Didn't he said something about them? Was it them protesting? Right? Did he say
Yeah,
something
so
against
I don't
that?
know the exact quote, but it basically said, I don't like that people are protesting, blah, blah, blah.
I think he said it was hurting his pockets or something, right? Like it's
Something
hurt.
like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I just
Donovan
saw that the
Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell was one of the first people to say, hey, if it's really hurting your pockets, sell the team. And then I forget Morgan Rapinoe, the striker for the U.S. women's national team, like the one with the short hair, like
yeah.
she's on every talk show when the women's team was winning. Like she also like backed them up saying, yeah, sell the team right now if it really bothers you that much. If I'm not mistaken, the owner today I saw a
Yeah,
notification on Bleacher Report just sold the team.
yeah, you're correct. He has it up for sale. Yep, yep. So
That's what I mean, bro. Because it's like nowadays with like how 2020 has been, like things like this just make me smile. Hearing that all these athletes are doing everything in their control to like try to help or change situations, it's really good. It's honestly really
yeah,
good in my opinion.
it is. It is. It's very good. It's all about using your platform.
Mhm. So basketball came back yesterday. Did you had a chance to catch any of the games yesterday or not?
I did. I actually had a chance to catch all three of the games.
Okay.
I was, what was the first game? I think the
We had the
Bucks.
Bucks versus the Magic. I didn't watch that game because
I had it on, but I wasn't too invested
okay.
in it. We all knew what was going to happen with that series.
Mhm.
I know people weren't expecting the Magic to swipe one with the first game,
No, no, no,
but
no. Hear me out, homie. I got my theory. I got my theory. The Toronto Raptors last year, they faced the Magic in the first round of the playoffs. DJ Augustine, the crossover, left, right, game winner against them. They got game one. What happened with Toronto, baby? They won the championship. So this is my theory. The Milwaukee Bucks are winning this championship.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I just think I think it's gonna be one of the LA teams. I
Really?
think it's gonna be one of the
I'm
LA
not that.
teams.
This is my argument. Like, first off, I have the Kawhi Leonard jersey there. Okay, I have the Kawhi Leonard jersey there. And Kawhi's my boy. Don't get it twisted. I've been a fan of Kawhi since he was in San Diego State balling out in March Madness. When sadly he lost to Kemba Walker, my other boy. But the Clippers are struggling to play against a Luka Doncic with one leg.
Okay, here's my response to this.
The Lakers were struggling at first with a Dame Lillard, who's it's not. I mean, it's not against the other players in the Portland Trail Blazers, but that team was really just off the momentum of Damian Lillard. Like CJ McCollum was contributing, and Carmelo too, a decent amount with the scoring. But if Damian Lillard wasn't scoring 30 or even 40 or 50, they weren't winning.
Yeah, I agree. But here's my response to this. So I think it's been Paul George. You know, Kawhi, you know, he is in his own head. He's in his own head.
Kawhi's been balling out really decently this playoffs.
Kawhi's been saving.
That's why.
Kawhi's been picking up his slack. And I think Kawhi kind of came there. I think he went there. So, okay, maybe I don't have to – something like almost like he was with Toronto. Maybe I don't have to score all the points, but we can have it close. If you have it close enough to the fourth quarter, I can turn on my switch and I'll finish off the game. And I think that's what he wanted, but Paul George wasn't doing that. You know, Kawhi had to turn on the switch first quarter, keep it close. And I think that's been he just ever since they were talking that stuff to Dame and they went on social media or talking back and forth with Dame, he just hasn't been playing good. Besides the last game before
yes. I watched that last game with my family, and I was telling, bro, I'm not going to lie. As soon as the game started, I'm like, Mom, Dad, Paul George has been playing so terrible, so Dallas got this in the bag. He made like 12, 13 points the first quarter. I was furious, bro.
I think that's when I think that allowed him to wake up, and I think once he just stays to himself, if that LA team plays like that, I don't think there's anybody who can beat them.
Yeah.
I don't think with Paul George playing like the Paul George who we know, I don't think there's anybody who can beat them with the bench. Because then after that, you have Will coming off the bench. You have what's his name? Reggie coming off the bench, who's been playing better than I thought.
Been shooting lights out for them statistically wise.
Yes. And then Montrez coming off the bench, that's big. So their bench is pretty solid. I even and you know, even though Pat Bev is hurt, I kind of like the rotation with their point guards because I'm a Shamet fan. What he's been doing.
I love Shamet. I loved him since Wichita State. That guy was killer.
He can hoop. So I think versus that. With LA, here's my thing about LA. Is AD going to be consistent? I don't think
Well, hear me out. I get your argument with AD, and I apologize for cutting you off. But if you look at AD's playoff stats in his whole career, he's got no dubs. Like, every game he played is a statistical manifestation of showing you, yo, I'm Anthony Davis. You cannot stop me. You saw it in his first ever playoff series against Golden State when they were in an 8th seed in New Orleans. He was the only one doing anything for them. The second playoff series when he was the 6th seed against Portland Trail Blazers, him and Drew Holiday were the only two dogs in that team doing anything for them. And then in the following following series against Golden State, that playoffs, sure, they lost, but the only one doing anything was Anthony Davis. So I feel like
I remember when him and Boogie swept the Blazers that one year when they swept them. I
genuinely wish Boogie would have stayed because I thought like
I think that would have been something. I think that could have been something.
Because think about it like this: we're in an era of basketball where it's small ball. I personally hate the fact about small ball because I'm a more traditional basketball. I like everyone having their position, whatever, blah blah blah. That's not the point. The point is, if you would have kept Boogie and you would have kept AD in the same team, that could have been the counter argument about small ball because it's two bigs that can actually average shoot from distance, They can kind of shoot from distance, but they're two dominant bigs. It's arguably the greatest power forward of this like decade. No, not decade. I got a little. The greatest power forward we got currently, and the greatest center that we had at the time.
Yeah, I agree. I would have liked to see where that went. I think if they had the current GM, if they had David Griffin back then, maybe he would have been able to like sell something to keep them. But I don't think it worked out. Yeah. And I think Alvin Gentry kind of like pushed AD away, which didn't make Boogie want to stay. But yeah, I think they would have been something because I'm I don't mind the small ball now. I don't mind it because with the Warriors, I truly enjoyed watching the Warriors play. I know a lot of people didn't, but I truly enjoyed watching Steph get 30, Clay get 30, even KD get 25 or 32. I didn't have a problem with that. But, I also was a big fan. I like the early Lakers with Kobe, Shaq, pick and roll. Nobody stopping Shaq. One of the most dominant, if not the most dominant, one of the most dominant players of all time. So, like, I always loved the traditional center who can just dominate like that.
Like, for me, it's like I'm okay with small ball because sometimes you do have to play small ball or sometimes your rotation or your lineup is going to be small. I get annoyed at small ball when it's like something like what the Houston Rockets are doing right now, where they just trade away their starting center.
And put PJ like, Tucker. Yeah, put PJ Tucker.
And grown man, 35, 34-year-old PJ Tucker, who's 6'5", some 200-something pounds. As a center?
I get it. Okay. I don't like their style. I don't like how – all right. One that has to do with Mike D'Antoni. I never really liked Mike D'Antoni as a head coach.
Bro, I'm a Knicks fan. I never liked Mike D'Antoni, not even in Phoenix.
Yeah,
Phoenix was the only highlight he's got in his career, in my opinion. And that wasn't even crazy because he didn't do, like, what, conference finals with Phoenix? Like, that's the farthest he went with Steve Nash?
Yep. Because my cousin was a Phoenix fan growing up. So always watching Nash and Amari Stoudemire. So I remember that. I never just liked them. And then him kind of ruined – him kind of like ruining Carmelo, like with that system in New York, and then Carmelo going back to him, and he kind of brandished his reputation with Houston. I never liked that. But my thing is that I don't like their style, but I feel like we kind of have to appreciate it because it allows us to see like the true ISO of like James Harden. Like, I wasn't a fan because I was one of those people who sometimes I'm like, I don't like watch James Harden play because his free throws, him flopping, but then I just realized he's really just doing what a lot of other guys do. But like, man, like no one can really guard that. When he's really going, nobody can really guard him. Like that ISO double step back, like nobody can really guard that. And then
I get it. You're not gonna say I love it, but you have to acknowledge and appreciate it in the sense because like it's so consistent now, and it's been so like proven with stats, and not even just stats, with like the highlights you see. It's hard to stop. Like you only really find an issue with it in the playoffs when like he's the only one that can do anything, and then he's obviously gonna get himself in situations where it's like, well, bye. But like, I understand that because they're going full like 100% mode on the whole Russell Westbrook and James Harden. Yo, we got you two here for a reason. Russell Westbrook, you do your thing. James Harden, you do your thing because you've seen it. As soon as they traded away Clint Capella and all the other pieces they traded away, Russell Westbrook was having like an all-star caliber season with his stats, and then James Harden was turning it up a notch too.
I think it allows Russell to be comfortable because now that we know James Harden is – now that the team is full of shooters because we know how they love shooting a three.
Like they're crazy with the shooters.
Yeah,
bro.
they just
Their
shot
whole
58
roster's
threes.
actually pretty crazy. Like it feels like a roster I would have done in my league or my GM in 2K.
Yeah, so we know they love their shooters, but now it allows Russ to just – I think Russ is most comfortable either attacking the rim or mid-range, and allows him to do that. I feel like in OKC, he had the option. He kind of had to be the shooter, not only for the three, but the mid-range and attack the rim. He was, like, depended on a lot when KD left. But now I feel like here's a place where, okay, Harden, I know Harden's going to do his thing. I don't have to shoot threes. I can attack the rim because he's one of the most explosive players in the league. So I'll attack the rim, do what I have to do, and just continue to score, even if that's a mid-range. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, yeah, I understand why he was like, why he's been striving in pace with the Rockets the way he is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you that it really does help them. It really does help them excel because you've seen it even now in the bubble, like the matchup with Oklahoma City Thunder. Because I want to kind of get into each matchup real quick with you, but I was rooting for the Thunder before Game 1 even started. I was like, the Thunder got this in the bag. They got a solid team.
Because I do this with people also. I always like go over each matchup what I think, and I was like, man, I wouldn't be surprised if the Thunder took this to 7. I told my cousin, I said I wouldn't be surprised if the Thunder took this to 7, with no rust. I said, we'll see. It was 2-0, and then they came
Game 3 with the game winner, not the game winner necessarily, the game tying shot to send it into overtime.
Yeah.
I was talking to my friend Schron because he's an Oklahoma City Thunder fan, and I was like, bro, I'm very confused. I thought you guys had the team to beat them, and he's like, keyword, we're very young. And I was like, I didn't think about that because the team is a very young team. The only veteran, like, proven leadership is Chris Paul.
Yeah, CP3 and Steven Adams, but now I just see what I've been noticing is that it just doesn't. You can see the oldness in Chris Paul. Like he's not as Chris Paul without the pick and roll now is kind of like not to disrespect his career. It's kind of like nothing. Like he needs to be set at the top with the pick. I won't say it's nothing. I won't go that far, but like
I know what you mean. It's I guess we can call it a one-trick pony type situation in a sense. Because it's like you could say players like Carmelo, like he could just post you up and that's over for you. He'll just fade away or whatever. And Kobe the same with that lean away or fade away shots. Like Chris Paul, if he doesn't get you in a pick and roll situation, he's gonna have to cross over you and break you down and either. He's not up to date. It's not New Orleans Hornets Chris Paul. It's not Los Angeles Clippers Chris Paul. This is like 33 years old?
Yeah, he's up there. So
yeah, he's up there.
You can see it because, like, I was watching the game yesterday, and I just noticed, like, how not slow, but, like, how long it was taking them to get up court. You know, that fast break transition. I just noticed it wasn't the same. So I was just like, But I said it was good. So they do have young people, but I said it was good to have CP3 because of what it does for SGA, Shai Gilgeous,
and even Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah.
And even Dennis Schroeder. That's the greatest mentor you could have in a team.
Exactly, yeah. So I said it does a lot because if the Thunder are able to add some, like, wings, some wing pieces with a young and upcoming SGA, I think, you know, they'll be, like, you know, somewhat of a even same caliber team, maybe even better than they were this year. So, yeah.
So, who do you think's winning that series, though?
I'm gonna go with Rockets. I think with Russ back, I know he was looking rusty yesterday, but I think the Rockets will win. I think Harden. They don't really have anybody who can guard Harden. That's the thing. Because CP. They have the young kid Lou Dortz on him, and he hasn't. The thing is that he was doing decent guarding Harden, but
I saw a tweet that said Lou Dort is probably having the worst game ever.
Yes,
wait, no. He's actually having the best game ever.
Yeah.
And I started cracking up because I was like, damn.
Because on one end he's doing good defensively, at the other end he was just shooting bricks, and you need that scoring from somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, Harden was just like,
no, that's the problem with I guess you could say that's the problem with the wings in Oklahoma City. Like, they got Roberson, who'll lock you up. He can't shoot a jump shot. You got Lou Dort, who'll lock you up. He can't shoot a jump shot. You got
Gallinari. Gallinari is not a consistent scorer.
It's not even that. Gallinari ain't guarding anyone. I'm sorry. I was a huge Gallinari fan since I was like him the first years with the Knicks, and I was like, okay, Italian sauce. I see it. Like he can score. He can score, but like Mans is not defensive enough. So I want to see Oklahoma City win the matchup, but I feel like I have to agree with you. Either 6 or 7, Houston's got it. I want to get your thoughts. What do you think about the Denver-Utah series? Because as soon as the bubble started and my Knicks didn't make it, I was like, all right, my bubble team's gonna be officially the Denver Nuggets.
Okay, here's my thing. Well, one, they're not playing. I saw for today's game, which is playing later. I saw that they're getting Gary Harris back in the starting lineup, which is
I don't like that. I don't like that. No, I don't know.
I know because it's gonna take away from Jamal Murray scoring. I know. Like my thing has been, okay, this has been respectfully, it's been one of the most boring but interesting series. When I say boring, like the first 3 quarters are like, oh, okay, this game is on. Oh, it's back and forth.
Yeah.
And then like when it gets to like the end of the third into the fourth, Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell just turned the heat on high and then just said, all right, let's just go back, like 1-on-1, let's just hit each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's what it's been for the series. Like what the
It's
first
pretty
game,
much been that. It really
Mitchell
honestly
had
has been that.
First game, Mitchell had what, like 50 the first game, and they still lost?
Nah, he had 54, I believe.
Yeah, 54, but they lost that first game.
But
right?
they lost.
Yeah. And then the next game, he came back with 40, and then he's just been hitting them. And then I was like, man, maybe if Utah wins, but like if Jamal Murray can, if Jokic and the other role players can just do what they need to do throughout the first 3, and then Jamal Murray just hits that switch in the fourth, with Mitchell hits that switch, man, I think Nuggets can pull it out. I wanted to see, because I really wanted to see Nuggets Clippers for that next round. So I'm hoping they can pull it out and get some wins.
The thing this is showing me is that no matter who wins this series, it's gonna give a lot of issues for the Clippers. And another thing that this series has taught me is like, Jesus Christ, man, Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray were like probably the most like frustrated or bored individuals in this quarantine before, because they're just going buckets. Bro, it's like, it's crazy. It feels like they're with 2K sliders on 100, the way they've been doing shots and everything. Their jump shots. The last game, I believe, Jamal Murray did like the John Wall-esque 360 layup, and I was like, nah, son, he did not just make that. I rewinded that back. I was in awe, bro. I feel like I agree with you. The Denver Nuggets can pull this out if their role players are playing sufficiently, because you need Michael Porter Jr. to get more playing time and actually get more of those touches, because the kid's a stud. The kid's got future. Nikola Jokic, I believe the last game, started off with 24 points. I was looking at the scoreboard. I was like, there's no way he started.
Oh, yeah, he was like 5 from 3. Like, if you could do that, keep it within close range. But the thing I was shocked at is that once you get to the third, you kind of see like who's fatigued and not. And I believe the Jazz had the lead by like a good I think they had it up to like 15, I want to say.
I think the Jazz were up by like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Even 20 probably in that third quarter.
And then Murray just turned it on. And then it was like, 18. And then next thing I checked, they're like, it's a 4-point game. And then they just keep going back and forth and trading buckets. So it's been that's been one of the series where the fourth quarters has definitely been one of the most interesting out of the whole bubble.
For me, the last thing I want to add about this series is the Mark Jackson theory. If I'm not mistaken, he was the one that said it in the game. They were talking about the commentary. Fred VanVleet showed us a revelation about what to do. You should have your wife give birth to the playoffs, because now you see Mike Conley came back from like witnessing his childbirth, and then the man's on a mission to not miss any shots, bro. Like Mike Conley, if I'm not mistaken,
is crazy. Like
Mike Conley is like 12 for 14 in the last 3 games from 3-point.
Like Fred VanVleet, I remember that because I remember like he was struggling so much, and then like once I believe his wife had the baby like right before the Philly series. And then, like, he just clicked it on versus Milwaukee. And then in the finals, too. Like, so I heard him. I laughed when Mark Jackson said that. So I think, hey, some guys, might have to do that, before playoffs. Like, have the wife deliver baby and then just go ham in playoffs. Because it's looking like it's a real thing.
The last thing to close up. The podcast. Well, first off, I was gonna before we started recording, we kind of were talking about the Boston-Toronto series. The game is currently 107-90.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, this first game showing you that Boston came out with the fire at first, but it's a 7-game series. I still believe Toronto can come out of here with the W in the series, but it was definitely going to be a 6-7 game series. This is probably the most interesting series we're going to see in the semifinals.
yeah, for sure. It's definitely out of all the semifinals, this is gonna be the best series.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. So like I was saying, I'm a huge Tatum fan. All of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is where like 2 years ago when they were playing LeBron in the conference finals without Kyrie and Gordon. I think this is where even one of the commentators said this is where he takes that next leap and to being considered like he's an
Mm-hmm.
all-star. Like if he wants to be in that superstar ranking, this is where he
Yeah.
can take that next leap.
I say he's an all-star, but not a superstar yet.
Oh yeah, because he just made his first all-star team, so he's not a superstar yet. I don't want to put him there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying if he was to at least start taking that next leap and pushing it, I think this is the perfect chance. Like being able right here to step up with no Gordon, him and Brown are one of my favorite duos in the league for like wing duos. So Toronto, on the other hand, this game was tricky because Pascal Siakam started out with 3 fouls in the first half. So that's tricky when your number one man gets a foul trouble. But I think they have more. They're coming off a finals championship.
Yeah.
And then I think they have more of a leadership presence, I want to say, because you have Ibaka. He's been around with the Thunder. We remember those days. He made a final with the Thunders and KD and Ruff. So he's been around. He has that vet.
Yeah.
Now
they definitely have the veteran presence and the veteran leadership and the experience over Boston, I feel like. Because sure, they made that playoff run against, like you mentioned, with Cleveland without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, but it's not the same roster exactly. There's a different amount of pieces now. So
that's where it comes in. Now it's like they play Brooklyn, so it's like, okay, Brooklyn is Brooklyn. But now it's like this is their real challenge. Like, no Kawhi. Who's going to be the guy in crunch time when it's 95, 93? Who's going to be able to get you? Who's going to get that guy to turn it around for you?
If it's not Siakam, I don't know if I can trust Lowry. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying. Lowry is he's a Philly guy. He's a tough and gritty dude. Yeah, but it's like, I'll say this, on the defensive end, I think you can trust him because he'll slide in and get you those charges. Like he'll get you those offensive charges on the other end. So I'll say that. But it's like, can you depend on Van Vliet? Van Vliet has been shooting the lights out, but can you depend on him to be that crunch time player to turn it up for you? I think the All-Stars on the team are Lowry and Siakam. I think this is where Siakam also has to take the next step and turn it up.
Yeah.
But I think like you said before, it'll at least be 6 or 7. I think I'll give Boston the edge because of their wing duos. I think I might give Boston the edge, but I wouldn't be surprised if Toronto wins. I'm not counting Toronto out in no means. No means.
Okay. Now the last matchup, we'll go quickly about it because I'm saying quickly because I already know my answer, but I want to hear your answer. What do you think about Milwaukee versus Miami? I got Milwaukee in 6 probably in that one.
Same thing. I was about to say that. I have Milwaukee in 6 also. I think Milwaukee has a deeper bench. I know Miami has shooters, but they don't have that experience. They're a young
none
team.
Of
them have been. They're just young. They're a good team, but they're young. And I think Giannis is hungry, and I think the Bucks are just gonna come to win. I don't think it'll be a good series, but I think Milwaukee will be able to outlast them. So I think I also take Milwaukee 6.
Like people will be mentioning me, oh, Miami was one of those teams that went undefeated against Milwaukee in the season. Oh, Milwaukee is the worst team in defending the 3. You know who's the best team at shooting the 3? Miami. And like, oh, Jimmy Butler is such a great leader. Bro, I'm sorry. This is not their year. This is really not their year. It's just not their year.
It's not. Like, I like watching Miami play. They have the shooters. Their pass ain't great. But, like, when it comes down to, like, when you have a superstar like Giannis, all right, when you have a star like Giannis, that's like kind of like who might just decide to turn it up, and then you have guys like Chris Middleton who just got his like first All-Star. Like if he's
Mhm.
consistent, we've seen what he can do from three. And then you have like an Eric Bledsoe, you have Grant Hill,
Mhm.
George Hill, you have all these other guys. Like
Did you
I
see?
think,
Did you see what he said in the post game
yeah,
interview?
so, yeah,
But no, they do have a deep bench. They really do. Like their bench is one of the deepest I feel like of the teams left in the bubble.
oh for sure, for sure, yeah.
Mhm. You got any final thoughts, my brother, on like the whole NBA topic on the podcast? Anything else you want to add? Any links? Anything?
Nothing right now. Just I hope everyone's able to stay safe. I like what you're doing with your podcast, with your platform. I enjoy watching it. I feel like this was a good episode. I just been enjoying the time. Enjoy the time with your loved ones. Enjoy the time with sports being back on, and
Mm-hmm.
just listen to the message. Don't be upset at the athletes for protesting or setting out these
Mm-hmm.
games. Instead, just try to understand and listen to the message that they're giving. And I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing overall within sports in this world today.
Okay. I agree, and I appreciate you for being on the episode. I really do. It means a lot to me. Thank you for being with us. To the people listening on either SoundCloud, to the people watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Peace out.
Thank you so much.